Hello everybody, welcome back to Sharon from Vivid Days. I just want to say thank you for everybody who is supporting my art and my channel, and if you are going to watch this process, I hope that you find some inspiration, ideas or some relaxation in what we call this crazy world that we're in at the moment. Now, I love the ocean. People of my channel will know that, and it's where I go to find my peace, and I'm so missing those WA beaches at the moment, so I thought I'd bring my beaches to me. Now, this is going to be a breakdown of my process. It is speeded up to 700, but I believe you should still be able to understand my breakdown of processes and my techniques, and it should be able to guide you to do a tutorial yourself. But should there be a need, I can attempt to do a step-by-step tutorial in real time. Now, these are oils, so these did take weeks and weeks between each layer before that I could go on to the next layer, which is critical because oils are beautiful to work with, but you can manipulate them for quite some time. And if you want to hold your image and your colours without blending too much, you have to be willing to wait, and I'm so glad I did. I love the end result. Now, my mentor currently is Katie Jobling. If you've not been over to her channel, please go over there. She's an amazing artist, and she is somebody that inspires me with her colour palettes, but also her channel is so relaxing and she gives me ideas. Now, Katie has helped me improve my processes with oil paintings, so go over there. Now, this was inspired by her colours, but the piece itself is my own. And let's get on with this. So the colours I'm using in here is cerulean blue, which is for the sky. I'm using Winsor & Newton, but use whatever oils you've got. I also have a white, which is Winsor & Newton, a phthalo green, which is Van Gogh, a ultramarine blue, which is Peebo, and a ochre, which is Peebo, and a tiny little bit cadmium red, which is Winsor & Newton. So I break my composition up where I believe it's going to be with my skyline, my ocean and my beach is what you can see there. So currently I've just used a very neat cerulean blue at the top, but we will blend into that over time. And to create the deeper, more matte colour at the background, to give you that depth, it's a tiny little bit of the ultramarine blue, a little bit of the phthalo green, and a tiny bit of yellow ochre, or should I say, yeah, yellow ochre, that's what it is, Sharon. There's no maybe about it. Just to create that deep colour and sort of not make the colours as bright for the background, but as you bring it forward, you remove some of the yellow ochre from it, and then you're just mixing with your blue and phthalo and slightly lighten it until you bring it to the foreshore, where it is mainly going to be phthalo green and white. Now, I go with intuition a lot. I have an idea, I understand my colours, and I keep working with it until I'm happy with it. Now, the first time I attempted this picture, it was in acrylics. Now, acrylics have a short waiting time, which in some aspects is great because it means you can layer quicker and finish your piece quicker. And I just wanted to go with the flow, enjoy that beautiful sun that's out there. You see Zeus running around, Neil's keeping him occupied. Now, being outside with nature is beautiful, and I really did enjoy that, but the amount of insects and midges that you were getting in there, and then the wind blowing, and I don't know if it was fully stress free on the first time, but you just had to keep thinking, you know, forget about it, enjoy the process. You can pick out any foreign objects that's got in your art, and you've got plenty of time to correct. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is just allow you to sit and listen to some music, and I'll come back and I'll talk again shortly. Sharon, I am back to show you first layer. This is now drying. I hope that you are all okay. I hope you're safe. I hope you're going to come back and watch how layer 2 comes together, where we start to add some character into this piece with the waves and the detail. Just needs to wait now, I reckon, a good 2-3 days, and then we're back for the next stage. Hope you've had a great day. So there's so many aspects of just that first stage that I really enjoy, and I might come back and create a calm ocean scene. This stage now, you're going to see me work predominantly on creating my sky, so I'm happy with it. And you'll see me start to work with cerulean neat at the top and the corners, and then you'll start to see me lighten it as we go down to the bottom, and then I'll build some clouds into there. And with a composition, something to consider is always keeping the darker point to the edge, and it goes lighter into the center, and it brings your eye into the middle. So you'll see me just add little bits of white, and as you get to that bottom part between the ocean and the sky, that more or less goes down to a, I want to say, smoky colour. So that is a little bit of the cerulean white and the tiniest bit of cadmium red. Now you don't want to be able to see this cadmium red when you're at that layer, but you do want to give that impression that if you're really close up, sort of you can tell, but not there. It's a suggestion, but that'll give you that sort of smoky, hazy feel as it goes as far away in the distance as possible. And then just keep working backwards and forwards. And I decided to add a few clouds in there. I was just inspired, I could feel it, but I wanted them to be fairly delicate because it's a sunny day within my mind. And just keep going backwards and forwards and make it whatever story you want it to be. But if you follow the process of neat cerulean and then slowly tone through the white, and then as you get to that very bit of skyline, which you can see me working on now, that's where you want to introduce a little bit more of that, I want to call it the hazy look, which will be the white cerulean and the tiniest of little bits of cadmium red. And I just kept going backwards and forwards until I was really happy. And you'll see me come in and do this the ocean at the back. I want to get a very bold colour in there, so that it just looks, so that I won't have to go back and revisit that part. Now you can use a masking tape if you want to make sure it's incredibly straight, but you'd have to wait until it was dry so you don't pull your paint off. Now I just do it with I step back, I observe, and then sometimes you can take a picture with your camera, because then you can start to see whether it's not straight or not. But just have some fun, be willing to play, be willing to tell your story that you want, and sometimes the paint will tell you what it wants to be. Now you see I do a lot of time on my edges. I'm just a believer in painting my edges. That's a personal choice. I'm fighting with the midges there, getting them out. And you may or may not use this. I have a little bit of terps to clear my brush, but I also use baby oil. Now baby oil does remove it, so it's not as harsh with chemicals, and it keeps your brushes quite nice, and your paint smells beautiful too. Anyway, that's Sharon's hot tip for you. So enjoy, see this evolve. You know the colours I'm using, and you should start seeing it come into life. And all I keep doing is backwards and forwards in those areas until I'm happy with them. But I am going to just let you sit back and relax and hear some music again, and I'll join you again shortly. So you've just seen me start to map out where my wave is going to go. Now, lesson learned, last time I did it with acrylic, this time oil. What I would do going forward is map out where my wave is going to go and then build my colours around it, because the oils were still wet and pliable when I was adding my where my wave's going to be, that the white was just diluting the colour, so I had to work very hard to get my colours how I want them. And the process that you should think about with a wave is whenever there's a gathering of water that's coming up into your wave, there's always going to be a darker point as it's building up that momentum, and then it goes lighter as it's higher up and you can sort of see through with the sun, and there's not as much water there. I'm not trying to be scientific. Anyway, the curving of any pipe wave is always going to have a darker end there. So I'm playing backwards and forwards and trying to work out, do I want it blue? Do I want it green? But then I want it the ocean greeny blue, not a really green. Oh, that's just going to like it's full of algae. And I'm just working backwards and forwards. But this process would have been quicker if I would have mapped out where I want my wave to go and then build my colours around it with oils. If it's acrylic, I don't think it would make a difference because it would have dried beautifully. And I think this is where you start to see it now pop forward a little bit, getting a little bit 3D. And for my wave, it was the ultramarine blue and the phthalo for the darker area, and you tone it however you want it. But then the lighter part where that water's just about to curve over into the pipe, that's mainly the phthalo green and the white. And then I start to just stand back, have a little look. Do I feel that that's a true representation of where the curve, have I got the balance right? And then I would recommend you blend some of the darker parts and lighter parts up and down each other, so that as you build your white foam that's coming over, it's easier to build your shadows or suggestions where you feel that your white foam is going to be at this stage. Because you'll see a bit later, I really did fight a little bit to get the shadow in a movement, because you wouldn't just have a pure solid colour. There's ripples, there's movements and everything like that. So that would be another hot tip, was blend your blues up to your green and the lighter colour, and then vice versa, but don't have it in a solid block. And I'm now just filling in the back area behind the ocean. This was interesting because I think when I first did the layer, I think I did it a bit too green, and then it came back a bit more blue. So you see me fight backwards and forwards with that. And when I say fight, it's not, I think that's the dance of your painting and oils. Do it in stages, keep going back. Are you happy with it? And then keep working on it. So I'm just bringing my phthalo green and my white nearer to the shoreline, and it gets whiter and whiter as it comes to the front. But again, I'm trying to add a little bit of texture for movement in there. So I will leave you to enjoy a little bit more music. I finished layer 2 and I'm just going to bring it in for a close-up. Sorry, high reflection on this with the sun. But I have created where my wave is going to be now. So the exciting part is to come, which is layer 3, where I start to bring this wave to life and add all the detail. I'll probably have to wait a week though, because there's quite a bit of oil in there. But I hope you're enjoying this process. I will see you shortly. Bye. So now you're going to see me just trying to bring alive the wave a little bit more. So the colours I'm still using is my phthalo green with a little bit of white. You will also see me add a little bit of ultramarine as I'm going down, but what I'm trying to do now is, now that my oil is fully dry, go in and do what I originally wanted to do, which is really get my pipe wave correct as far as tones, shadows, shaping movement, all of the above. So you're just going to see how I work my way backwards and forwards and sculpt that. And when I've done that, I'll bring it a little bit further forward, but then you'll see me go back and work on my skyline, because that should be dry again. So that would have been the third time that I work on skyline. And I'll try and bring some of the tones through so you're getting that movement. But happy days, this is where you start to see, or I start to feel, okay, my wave is coming along how I want it to be. Now let's start to bring it alive with a little bit of movement. And I probably would have paid more attention to this stage next time, because I had to then go back and tweak it once I'd added the white foam, which is not ideal. I know that other people do that, but I think I would prefer to get the wave and the movement 100% correct and then come and add the foam and just do touch-ups. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to enjoy some music, because you've heard me nattering away for quite a while, and hope you are enjoying that. But do give me feedback if you enjoy seeing me paint and bring all my oils to life. If you enjoy me voicing over, let me know. I'd really appreciate your feedback. I know everybody wants different things, but it's important to me that I do receive feedback, just so that I can take it into consideration and look for improving. I know resins are a lot easier to do shorter videos, but oils, people that have worked with it appreciate the amount of hours that do go into this, and I've done my best to try and trim it down as much as possible and speeded it up. But if you want to see the process, you'll watch it, and if not, I'm sure you'll just skip to the parts that you enjoy. Anyway, sit back, relax, we'll speak again shortly. Alright, I have run out of camera in my phone, battery in my phone, otherwise I would have continued because I really enjoy doing these next stages. I hope you can see the subtleness in the clouds, that's what I've just been working on. And so from this part upwards, it's now done. Now it's just about bringing the wave and the rolling of the wave and building that foreground and movement. So super happy with it, hope you can see a change. And yeah, keep safe, keep smiling, keep creating, and you'll see me in the blink of an eye for the next layer. And here is the blink of an eye. Apologies for this angle. The sun and the oil was not a great combination for you. Just wanted to go back to the clouds. So the clouds was made with a very diluted cerulean and the white. So almost what you've got in the skyline, but the stage before you added the cadmium. And I just rotated my brushes around and let the paint tell me what the clouds were going to be, and then I'd stand back and have a look because I wanted them to be delicate and not overpowering. So that's where you saw me going backwards and forwards and wiping some out and trying to soften them. This is where you can see I wanted to add a little bit more blue to my ocean because pondering on it for nearly a week, and I could just see a lot of green and it doesn't ring true to what I was trying to do. So I still kept with the muted colour at the black, but I just phased through the blue, and you can see my canvas board there is about to fall over. I don't think you see that happen. I cut that bit out for you, but it falls flat and I'm sort of but no painting was hurt during the course of this. But I just wanted to explain my skyline, and I do go back and work on the ocean in the background again, just there it goes. Just with little specks off a palette knife, which you'll see at the end. But that top half now, other than those little bits of highlights, is done, and this is where I'm going to now focus on getting my board ready for my wave. So you're going to see me working on the first half of this, and you should see me start to map out where my pipe wave's going to be, and that is made with almost like the colour that was made for the sky. So when you are thinking of your waves, don't think of them as just a white colour, because there is no such thing as a pure white sort of wave or foam. There's going to be different colours from shadows, from volume of water, from the direction it is. So I map out with a little bit of the ultramarine blue, very diluted in my white, so it's a white with a hint of blue, and that's what you'll see me doing when I map out where the pipe wave's going to be, and that'll be the foam underneath the water. So you'll see me do that on the pipe wave and the foreground. Currently now what I'm trying to do is work out where my previous wave has just crashed. So that's where you can see I've brought in that line between the shoreline and the pipe wave, and that is mixed with phthalo green and white, so it's very similar to the very top colour we did on our pipe wave. And that's because a wave has just crashed before, so that wants to be raised slightly and pushing that first wave onto the beachfront. And I am just mixing my yellow ochre and a little bit of white and coming backwards and forward and trying to rough it up a little bit so that it's not one solid colour, because that adds to the realism. And I'm starting to blend it in to the front of where the ocean has met the shoreline, because some of that sand's churning in, but I'd realised my oils were still a little bit too wet. The beauty of acrylics versus oils is that would have been dry by now, but even a week later, no, as I'm applying my sand to my ocean, I could see that it was blending with the green, which is not what I wanted. Anyway, that was scuffing. If the oil had been dry, you would have had very little yellow ochre on your brush, and you would have just brushed it in, scuffing it so that it's picking up slight bits of that sand in there, but still leaving those tones of those greens. And this is where I'm adding my pipe wave. Now, ultimately I enjoy my pipe wave, but I think that's one thing I want to perfect a little bit more. And I probably wouldn't have used what now looks like I don't want to say two women breasts because that's a bit rude, but it's too symmetrical, like two curtains hanging down. We'll go with that. Having said that, the end result is still good, and I think I want to do one where there's not a lot of wave crashing on the next one, just sort of at the peak where it's about to. You could see me playing with some insects there again, the ongoing battle of being out. So again, what I'm doing currently is just trying to map out where it's going to be. I don't want it to be a solid colour. That's got the blue tinge to it, so that'll be the undershadow, but at least you're starting to sculpt where it's going to be, and then I'm going to know where I can come back and embellish the other areas. And you should see me do that at the front with the shoreline. And then that will need to dry, and then we'll work on the middle section, which is between the shoreline and where I've created that second little wave that's just crashed. We'll be working in that area next, which is trying to give you some 3D. Anyway, I'm talking a lot that you're not even going to get any chance for music. We're just going straight into review time. I'm Sharon. I'm digressing. What can I say? Thank you to the people that are watching this the whole way through. Much love. Okay, I'm calling this a day for this sitting because I now have to wait until where I'm mapping out where my ocean wave is lapping over. I need that part to dry before I can add any more embellishments onto that. And then we're going to start working on the movement in the ocean here. And I've added in the scuffing of the sand to the ocean where it's meeting the shore. Anyway, I can't wait for next sitting, but unfortunately it's going to take a week. So I'm going to talk through a little bit because there's a lot of the detail here, and this is what makes it pop. So I've got my palette knife out. Now this part requires patience, little bit of paint on your palette knife, and taking your time. So I have mixed ultramarine blue with a little bit of white, so it's a shade lighter than the background or the part of the ocean I'm working on. And I'm going to dab on the littlest of paint on my palette knife and then dab it back off again, and then slowly drag my palette knife across the canvas, and the tiny little bit of raised beads or from the canvas, the bumps, will take off a little bit of that paint. And what that does, it gives you the idea of movement in the ocean or the sunlight reflecting on it, and just adds to that little bit of, I don't know, it just takes the painting to another level. But less is more. Dab a little bit on, dab a little bit off, and then slowly, lightly drag it across. And you can do that in as many different tones and colours as you want, just to give a little bit of feature to your ocean. But less is more, and there is a balance. I'm now going back to my, there's a little bit of ultramarine in there. And I actually went cerulean, but it should have been ultramarine with white. So basically it's an off-white. You want a very light blue, and you want it very similar to your sort of skyline. So I've got cerulean on here, and when I say skyline, the part where it meets the ocean, but before you add the cadmium red. And I'm just mapping out where my ocean is crashing onto the beach. So again, you want an off-white with a hint of blue in there, because that will create the shadow and the depth, so that when you come through with your white, it's going to really help that sense that there is movement, churning, and 3D-ness about it. What I've just done now is mix my phthalo green with a little bit of white. So you're wanting the colour that's almost the top of your pipe wave, and the middle line that I've created where that's the wave that's just crashed. Sorry, a lot of words there. Basically, I'm trying to create a sense of sun reflecting through ocean, and this is the part at the bottom of the ocean that's reflecting back up. So cerulean and white, so the top of your pipe wave colour, that's what you're using. And no more rhyme or reason, just delicately. You don't want to overcommit as well, but you just want a sense of letting your paint be dragged off and in different directions to give you that sense of movement at the ocean. Now I've just mixed with the yellow ochre some ultramarine blue because I just want a dark brown. Now this is the part where you might think, ooh, it looks hideous, because it looks very cartoony, and but believe me, the process works, because you're going to cover the majority of that up, and some will just highlight through when you add your white, which will give you that other sense of a shadow. So it's an important step. You can do it wherever you want or as thick as you want. For me, I went pretty hard because I knew I was going to create a lot of froth. And this is where I am going back to my pipe wave and trying to create more of shadows where my wave is piping over, and a sense of movement. Now this is where I said if I'd have spent more time doing this stage before, I would not have had to do all this delicateness of messing with my wave again and trying to make it look real. It took a lot of working backwards and forwards, so I would recommend do that stage and do it well before you add your curve. But that's just my hot tip and something that I will do next time. But it all came together in the end, and it is just a journey, and you're always learning new ways, and you just keep standing back looking at it until you're really happy. And I just wanted to bring that sort of shade into the top as well to make sure that there looked like there was movement there and it wasn't just a solid colour. On the next stage as well, what you will see is I mix up the sand churning towards the front, and that's done with, again, with a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of the phthalo green and some white. So you want a very, it's hard to describe, but a mucky green. So that's what I'm adding now. So it's a suggestion that the yellow ochre is there, so it's like the cadmium red. People may know that it's there, but you don't want it to look obvious. And I don't want to overcommit, and I didn't want to go more than halfway back. But you know that if that froth of that ocean is moving in onto the sand, that's going to churn up the sand. So you're just trying to create that illusion in areas. Again, no rhyme or reason, but just make sure you've blended it, that you're happy. Don't commit to more than the halfway. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, some waves do carry sand quite well out, but it's not a solid. And that actually really helps create more realism or more photograph look. I don't know the words I'm using, but it works. So the line that I created where the previous wave has just crashed, which is causing that froth to come forward, I now want to make it look more organic and natural. So I've now added a little bit of peaks and troughs in there, and in the middle, that's where I see that it's done the biggest amount of water squirting back up into the air, and I am just working that backwards and forwards until I'm happy and blending my colours through. And then I start to work out where I want to put any peak caps on there, like the white horses, the froth shooting up into the air. But again, I'm just trying to blend the different tones so that it's not just one colour, and you really do get that sense of movement. So you see me adding my little bit of white and stepping back, just making sure I've got the balance right. But overall, I'm really happy. And then with the white, I come and just add the lines at the front, which is what I'm doing now, just straight white in a different direction to the other, but no rhyme or reason, because that'll make that look like the froth is on top. So that's the secret to that aspect. And I'm just going to let you watch some, should I say listen to some music, but we've run out of time again. I'm now going to come in and review the end of it, so I will just let you have some downtime from hearing my voice. But hang with me, you're doing a great job supporting me watching this video. Hope you're learning, and I will see you in the blink of an eye again. Back to show you what we have done for this sitting. So you would have seen that I added some detail by dragging my palette knife across the edges to make that part look a little bit more alive. So very happy with the sky in that area. I've added a few little bits of white specks here, so when I come back with my palette knife, that won't blend in, but you'll start to get these tiny little bits of specks here. But I need this to dry to prevent it doing this. We added a little bit more texture into our ocean to make it look like it's moving. I'll see if I feel I need to do anything more with the colour there, but we spent a lot of time creating a little bit of movement, and hopefully that ocean looks like it's alive there. We've mapped in where the wave will be crashing on the shoreline, and don't worry about this brown line here, that will be mainly covered up, as you can see here, but it'll give you a suggestion of depth. And then I'll tone through some of the sand here again, which I'll do probably before I do the foam, and that should be starting to come more alive. But at the minute it's sort of realistic, absolutely fake, kind of halfway there what you're doing. And then this one sort of looks I think, more alive. But you get the feeling you have to strip it down and keep working it and doing those layers. So I'm looking forward to the next one because that really should pop. Anyway, I'm Sharon, I'm digressing. I'll see you in a blink of an eye on the next sitting. So this is it, this is the final sitting. I'm just going to add a little bit more shadow, so the darker yellow ochre under where the wave's gonna come in, and add a little bit of light. I'm then going to come in with pure white and add that to my foam at the front and also on the wave, and all I keep doing is standing back, checking I'm happy with my composition. So you'll see me again dabbing the white on, dabbing it off, and then slowly applying it in a circular motion. So you apply it in a circular motion for the wave and for the where it's meeting the beach. That just helps where the spray is, or I think give the realism, because it's always a churning motion with that. But that's just my preference, and less is more, and slowly build it up, step back, build it up, step back, build it up. And then I come into the front part of the ocean, and you'll see me add a tiny little bit of white on my palette knife, and again there's virtually nothing on there. I've dabbed it very delicately, dabbed it off, and then just lightly dragged it across so that little bits of the ocean would catch a little bit of that white in little dots, which should add to either splashes or sun looking at it. But you relax and enjoy this final stage, and then we'll come in for a close-up review. Created and listen to me digressing, a sincere thank you. I'm going to take you in now and sort of have a look at it, but overall the composition I really enjoy. I feel that there's a lot of life in this, there's a lot of vibrancy, and there's a lot of interest. I would like to perfect the pipe wave itself and get that even better, but this I really still think it's a beautiful piece. I mean, there's movement, there's white. I think it's more how I've got this front wave here. It just looks like you're there and with it. I think I probably would have pulled back a little bit higher, but having said that, I enjoy this, but we're always progressing and learning. But let me take you in. So we'll go to have a look at the sky. So start at the top left and we'll go across. Now I hope you can see the wispiness of those clouds and how by just letting your brush drag along, certain parts become more white, which makes it look like the sun's on it, but also there's a suggestion, and this is the haze that I'm referring to. But I absolutely love that. And then this is the part where at the end I delicately put bits of paint on my palette brush and let it just drag off bits here. And this is just the white where I added a suggestion of there being waves crashing in the distance. Again, a very delicate balance that you have to have. And then coming back to the pipe wave where you've got some of the foam going off up into the sky. But overall, really love this, and I do enjoy the different tones that you've got here where it's blended, where the curve is up to light and dark. And although I do love it, this is the part where I feel, oh, it's still wet, don't touch Sharon, I should have had more blue. So potentially I might come when this is dry, add a little bit of blue, then add a little bit more white, just in very delicate areas, just so you get this sense that you get in here. So that's the pipe wave. Let me just drag you around so you can see how that palette knife captures the canvas. And then as we go down to this part here, this is where there was a suggestion that that wave has already crashed, which is where all that froth has come from. So we'll bring you in and you can see little bits of the foam spray going up here. And again, just suggestions. When you come in close, it don't look anything special, does it? But from a distance, it really does give you that sense of movement. And I did take that round the edge as well. And then in here, this is where you see the little bits of the, that's the phthalo green, which is a similar colour to here. So the underneath, the pure white, and then the illusion with the yellow ochre and a little bit of the phthalo, which is the sand churning up. And there's tiny little specks where I dragged my palette knife, and it's just left tiny little bits of white. So again, you don't want to go over the top with that, and that's where it's dab it on, dab it off, very discreet and very light, sort of dabbing across to let the palette knife just connect with that canvas and take little bits, and then through to the foam at the front. So you can see there is still a suggestion, stop touching your painting, Sharon, it's still very wet, of the brown that I painted in, that's quite thick, but from a distance adds so much value to it. So it had the blue underneath, and then we come with a white and just slowly dab it on and build it up in circular motions, and then let some of the thicker piece grab it, which will make it look like there really is some of that ocean power where it's just going up and churning into, well, going upwards, that's all I'm trying to say. And then a little bit of the yellow ochre where it's darker through to lighter, and then just very delicately adding a little bit of the white for a suggestion of where a previous wave has been on there and captured it. But that was a lot of information, but I absolutely love this piece, and I am going to be working on different versions of this in different colours, but I hope that it has inspired you. If it has, remember to tag me in your work or join my Facebook group. I'd love to be able to see how I've either inspired you with colours, compositions, or just that you're talented as well and you want to share your art with me. I'd love to be able to see that. But thumbs up, subscribe, share, comments are always welcome. Pop back and see me wherever you are. I hope you're safe. Keep creating, keep smiling, keep coming back and seeing me. I'll see you on the next video. Much love.